I'm going to quickly try and share with you a real example of my first project, okay? And it's to highlight some of the points I've already talked about. So, 6 months into internship, okay, I've managed to get my head above water. I think I kind of know what doing internship is kind of about. And I realized, oh no, some of my competition, I call them competition in quotation marks because they're not really competition, but some of the people that are also trying to do cardiology around Australia, they've got like 30, 40 publications. And I'm here scratching my head about what even is EBM and what even is an RCT. What do I do, okay? So, I was very fortunate that some of my closest mentors, and I actually forgot to mention something that Elizabeth talked about earlier on. Your closest mentors are sometimes early career researchers because they're more relatable to you. They've been in that process a lot more recently. Sometimes consultants, as skillful and as talented as they are and experienced as they are, they probably did this 15 years ago, 10, 15 years ago, and they may not have the time to give you that intimate advice, okay? So one of my closest mentors and friends, he said, I've got a half-baked idea, but can you just get it done somehow? You've got endless time, just figure out a way to get this done, okay? So I scrambled, I went back and forth, I made a lot of mistakes, but I realized at the end of that journey, and I'll share some of the actual logic of that with you in the coming slide. I realized at the end of that journey, as slow as it was, you establish a blueprint, okay? And keep that in mind as we go forward. So without getting into the technicalities, you first have to identify what type of study you want to do, okay? This is stuff that we can teach you going forward. This is stuff that you will be learning as you dig your hands into this. But one of the key things for me was I realized systematic reviews are a little bit more affordable to me because I don't have to go through this ethics process, okay? But for those of you that are not familiar with that, just realize you kind of need to know what study you want to do. And oftentimes this is the first thing to get familiar with. And then over the next sort of 12 to 18 months, I scrambled, and all of these phases, now that I've got this very clean blueprint that I use, all of these phases took me enormous amounts of time, enormous amounts of barriers, a lot of collaboration, a lot of talking to other people, but a lot of hard work as well. And two examples that I've highlighted there. One was a search strategy, how to build this. I once spent an entire weekend looking at these YouTube videos that I've highlighted here of how to build this. I went to a librarian, and oftentimes it just takes weeks. It can take time to learn this skill. The second thing, the 7 number, is I had no idea how to do a meta-analysis. I've heard of this thing. I'd finally gotten through 1 to 6. I'd put a lot of work in. I thought I was doing a decent job. And then I got to number 7, and then I'd actually teed up a statistician. I thought I was pretty game for that. I got in touch with a statistician. I said, hey, can you help me? That statistician actually went overseas. So I was like, man, this is happening again, I need to find someone that can help me. And then I came across an excellent statistician from Bonn, but he said to me, look, I like what you're doing, but I just don't have the time to do your stats. I can only maybe teach you. Do you want to come to my office sometime and I can teach you? So he actually, over the next few weeks, I spent every Friday afternoon with him, and I learnt how to do meta-analysis. I learnt how to do various other statistical methods. And then the same thing happened with number 8. My mentor, who had told me the whole way through, yeah man, I'll handle the manuscript, you just get it to number 6, okay? He was like, I'm pretty busy right now, can you just give 8 a crack? And then, again, it was in that same position, looking at previous papers, looking at what he had done, looking at other people done, and trying to synthesize something, a basic draft. And then I got hammered during the draft. There was a lot of drafts. And then we took it to our consultants. But at the end of all that, I learned how to establish a blueprint. And then it's not rosy from there. What happened after that? You have to try and submit this stuff. So I'm submitting it to all these cool journals. I feel so good about myself. And then rejection. This is months. But then that right photo over there, that's 1 page out of 6 of the comments that were provided to me, okay, for my first paper. And those 6 pages taught me more about research than I probably learned in the last 3 years combined. And I'm bringing it back to this graph again. I was scrambling. I've only got 0 publications. Hurry up, guys. Where's the statistician gone? What's going on here? I'm on 0 right now. Come on, But now I look back and I go, embrace the rejection. embrace all those barriers because they're only making you better and better. And what I realized by the end of this, so this is all really cool, you know, my first publication, we got it in BMJ Open Heart, it was a great experience. But I was always looking at that number because I'm very obsessed with competition at times. And I kept thinking, oh, you know, I need to do this again and again. And I had that blueprint. But the most important thing out of all of this was when I went full circle, I realized I can do a meta-analysis. I've got a statistician. I've got a network of consultants and registrars who now believe in me. I know how to write a manuscript, right? This may have taken me 18 months, which is quite quick. There was a lot of rejections. I've got a whole panel of comments now that I've learned so much about. I can now apply this to any other idea that I have, this template.